Garden planting season is still underway here at the farm, and we are just beginning. The seeds are mostly done for the year, and I've started to move on to some of the cold plants that can be put out in early April and can make it through some late frosts if need be. The plants that can usually make it in the Midwest this time of year are broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. Of course, Brussels sprouts and some Swiss chard can do well too. If you're new to gardening or haven't started, like I've always said, these plants are a great way for you to start. They're really low maintenance and you can find them at any garden supply store. And who doesn't love some fresh broccoli or fresh cauliflower or cabbage salad to spruce up any meal? You're gonna love these plants. To start, just make sure to have the same prepared garden that you had for your seeds. You want the ground really well tilled and fine bits of ground, no large clumps of dirt, and you want to make sure that the garden is fairly well dried off. You can't have a garden be too wet when you're trying to plant plants, or it'll be all muddy and they won't really do well. Start in small amounts if you're not used to these plants, because when you think about it, each one plant of cabbage will give you a whole head of cabbage. So we don't usually buy too many heads of cabbage at one time, and plants usually come in a 3-pack. So you'll probably just want to start with one 3-pack if you're a beginner. Dig a hole about 1 to 2 inches. Gingerly pull the plant out of the container. These are still very weak and small plants, so it's really easy just to pull the roots apart. So you might want to pinch the bottom of the container just a little bit to make sure it comes loose, and then very carefully pull it out. I like to just slightly break up the roots a little bit as they can become bound to the pot, and then put it into the ground and press the ground around it. I always make sure to water it right away, just a little bit. To protect these small and weak plants, I reuse old plastic gallon containers that I have left over from my kitchen, and I save them throughout the year. It can be milk jugs, vinegar jugs. If you don't have these, you can of course buy protective barriers at your garden supply store, or use anything you might have that will stay the test of time outside. Plastic works really well. If you're using gallon containers like I am, make sure to cut off the bottoms with a knife, and that there's no top and that there's a hole that the air can get into. Push the gallon containers into the soil. You don't want to do it too hard, or when you go to take them off later on, a lot of the soil will get stuck to it and it could be hard. But you want to do it hard enough that the wind doesn't just blow these away. These protective barriers protect the plant not only from the wind and the elements, but also if there's late frost, they'll actually protect them slightly from getting too cold if need be. Without these, your plants would become riddled and probably not make it this early on in the year. Along with these plants, onions can also be put in the ground this time of year. If you go to your garden supply store, or even a big box store, you'll a lot of times will find pre-packaged or bulk onions to buy. If you're a beginner to onions, you probably will want to buy bulk ones so you can buy a smaller amount. Pre-packaged ones usually come in sets of 100, and that's quite a few onions to deal with. You can choose from red, white, or of course the Spanish yellow. I like to do a mixture of all three because each one can be completely different in the kitchen, and I love all of them. Onions are so simple to do. I do mine a little bit different way than some of the packages might tell you. My grandma showed me this great new method that she found, and it seems to work pretty well. I mound the dirt in rows about 2 inches high, and then I stick the onions right inside of that mound about 2 to 3 inches apart. What this allows to do is as the onion grows, less dirt is around the onion, and thus less rotting occurs on the onion. Sometimes if you have a really wet year, your onions can rot, but doing them in these mounds allows the roots to go down to the ground, but the onion to stay mostly out on top of the ground, which is how they like to grow. It's just a method, and you can of course do whatever works for you. Set the onions in the earth and then cover them up with the soil. That's all there is to it. Onions are so simple. Planting your plants is really quick and hardly takes any time. You can do it after work, quickly in the evening. If your garden is prepared, just go out quick and plant them. And in a few weeks, you will have wonderful, fresh items to use for your guests and for your family. Gardening is such a great and fun item for anyone to do. If you have a family, take them out with you and work at it together and teach your kids how you can grow some of your own vegetables. You know what goes into them and you enjoy them so much more when you're eating them around your table. I can't wait to share this gardening season with you.